Why do I feel like I linger? Linger between the words to say the words to remember.
Hey guys, Chris here, and today I want to talk to you guys about Toshiro Hitsugaya, captain of Squad 10 and the coolest member of the Gotei 13. Okay, so now that I've actually got that cringe out of my system, I just want to give like a brief overview of Toshiro. I do genuinely think he's a really cool character. I don't know, I mean, like, he's kind of a bit of a stereotypical anime character as far as, like, I don't know, like, he's got the kind of, like, you know, edgy attitude, and, like, he's, like, the short, edgy anime character with the white hair that stands up, you know, he's got the ice powers. Yeah, he's a bit of a stereotype, but he's also, I don't know, he's a pretty cool character, you know. There are some people in Bleach that are just outright assholes. But, Toshiro's a pretty decent kind of guy, but he can also be funny at times too. I think one of the like biggest running gags with Toshiro is his height. See, Toshiro is a bit of a child prodigy in that, like most of these people that are captains are like 100+ years old. I think that Toshiro is in fact the youngest captain at, if I remember correctly, roughly around the age of 50. So he's about half the age, if not a third of the age of most everybody else around him, and that's on the younger side of the captains, like Byakuya and stuff. You know, people like Yamamoto, they're over 1,000 years old. So yeah, his height is a running gag. He was actually the third seat of Squad 10 before he became the captain, with Rangiku being the lieutenant, and Ichigo's dad, Ishin, actually being the captain, which is revealed in the last, or not the last arc, but like the last Aizen arc, the last arc where Aizen's a bad guy, the fake Karakura Town arc, when Ishin shows up to kind of flex his Captain Soul Reaper abilities on Aizen. Mans flicks Aizen in the head and sends him flying. But yeah, you know, he used to be the third seat, so he was always pretty powerful. But he actually became the captain after Ishin stepped down. And his Sanpakuto is Hyorin Maru, which releases into its Bankai of Daigyorin Hyorin Maru. And as I mentioned earlier, he's an ice boy. You know, he freezes things. Particularly, he freezes the moisture in the air around him, and he freezes water and stuff like that. That's basically his main means of doing what he does. He's actually pretty mature and serious for his age. It's a complete and total opposite of his lieutenant Rangiku, who just kind of does whatever. She's very... she acts exactly how she looks. I'll leave it at that. He's got this kind of like complex, since he's this child prodigy and he's the youngest person and he's like the shortest person. He's got this kind of aversion to anything that can be considered like childish or like, you know, for kids. And his old childhood friend, it's like his one of his closest friends, if not his closest friend, is Momo Hinamori, and you know, he's got like a real connection with her. He kind of goes nuts when Aizen starts messing around with her. Aizen actually gets Toshiro to attack Momo while under his illusion in the fake Karakura Town arc, and that really steams Toshiro. So, you know, he's a bit of a stickler when it comes to like being official and being, you know, mature and whatever, but you know, he still is kind of like a kid. So like, he has always been the kind of guy that's been like, maybe not a brat, but like even his time in his Rukongai district, you know, when he was still a poor little kid, you know, he was still a bit of a, I won't say like a grouchy boy, but like, you know, very serious. He was definitely mature. And even when he first met Rangiku, you know, they had been clashing since, you know, the very beginning. Not in like a hateful or malicious way, but you know, they are polar opposites. I think that's what makes them work so well. But yeah, there's always that, you know, Rangiku and him have quite a bit of history together. So he eventually grows up to be a Shinigami. He's the third seat under Ishin, of course, Ichigo's father. Um, and he actually ends up taking the seat from him when Ishin steps down. So I feel like that in of itself either speaks to the faith Ishin had in Toshiro's ability to grow, or Toshiro's natural ability to be strong even at such a young age. That like, he wasn't like still a child when he became promoted to the third seat, but like he was still pretty young. He's still definitely like he's got the claim to the youngest everything in the Gotei 13, to my knowledge. Like the youngest to reach third seat, the youngest to reach a seated position, the youngest captain. He's a child prodigy through and through. Um, but yeah, he has his relationship with uh, Momo that he holds very dear, and we actually see that Gin kind of starts pitting people against each other at the whims of Aizen. And since Gin at the time was Izuru's captain, Izuru kind of, he doesn't really know which side to fall on. But I remember there was a scuffle between Momo and Izuru, and Toshiro just kind of steps in and takes care of it. Toshiro, he finishes the fight there. He goes after Gin. He goes after Aizen. He's pretty much on a warpath to take care of everyone who is trying to mess with the Gotei 13 and specifically mess with Momo and all these things. And he's the one who found out that the members of the Central 46 were dead. He's doing all this official investigation. So eventually his investigations and his his thinking about it leads him to Aizen. And he's like, wait, I thought you were supposed to be dead. And Aizen's like, nope, I'm here and alive, I'm fine, I'm tricking everybody. And yeah, basically, one thing leads to another. Aizen starts mouthing off, Aizen and Gin. So Toshiro's like, well, I'm going to put you down right now. He's not weak, don't get me wrong, he is not weak, he's pretty powerful. He gets like, low diffed by Aizen. The man disrespects Toshiro like how Byakuya disrespected Ichigo when they first met. I don't know if it was their first meeting, but one of their earliest meetings. He's just kind of like, you're not ready. You'll never be ready. I'm Chair-sama. You just don't know it yet. But in any case, he's pretty much like, he's never like a main character, so to speak, but he's definitely an integral part of the series. Like when Shalong and all the other like Grimmjow and the Arrancar in general kind of invade, he's the one that's kind of like, oh, I'll take Shalong and I'll take him out. This is going to be easy because I'm a captain. And Shalong's like, you're stupid because your power is to freeze water and there's no water, duh. And then he's like, yeah, okay, but there's literally water everywhere around us. That's kind of what the atmosphere is. And Shalong loses. He loses. I think he learned. I think he got not a biology. I think he got a chemistry lesson there. That there's some H in H2O. So yeah, that was a pretty. I think it was a pretty neat scene. I'm trying to refrain from saying cool, because if I keep saying cool every time I say Toshiro is really cool, I'm gonna think of that stupid joke I made at the beginning of this video. In any case. So he has a run-in with Yami. He has a run-in with Loopy, who at least at the time was good enough to be considered an equal to Grimmjow. And he handled himself. Well, obviously he's still alive, so at the very least he's able to handle enemies of that caliber. And it really shows. He's kind of portrayed throughout the series as like of a similar power level to Byakuya. But Byakuya is more about strength, where he's more about his whole freezing thing, which I can respect it. And even at the end of the series, or not at the end of the series, it's just like at the end of the Aizen arc, this big arc that took like so long, and it was basically like the main part of Bleach, like with the main antagonist being Aizen. At the very end, with the Fate Karakura Town arc, Toshiro is powerful enough to go toe-to-toe with Espada number 3, Tier Halibel, and her power is water, so there's that kind of dichotomy, ice versus water. It's not as clear cut as fire versus water, but as we see later on in the Thousand Year Blood War, in a battle of ice versus water, and by the way, this isn't any real spoilers, so to speak, because the what I'm about to say isn't as clear cut as what it actually turns out to be. But in a battle between ice versus fire, I know you guys would probably never guess this, but fire wins. Anyway, so he's going up against Halibel, and they're doing pretty decently against each other. She actually she kills Hitsugaya, and just kidding, it was an ice clone. They have it's a pretty solid exchange, I would say. I would even dare to say that it was one of the better fights in the Fate Karakura Town arc. I feel like Stark versus Shunsui kind of did a bad job of portraying just how powerful the both of them are. I think it was a good fight. I just feel like their true strength wasn't truly shown, because I was left feeling like, Shunsui is a pretty powerful fighter. I don't know if he's I don't know how close he is to Yamamoto, but I feel like he's up there with Byakuya and Toshiro. And it turns out, supposedly, from statements we get throughout the series, and I think they're more heavily hammered in later on, he should, in theory, in terms of strength and power, blow Toshiro and Byakuya out of the water like it's nothing. They state that he's the strongest Shinigami in all of history, or not the strongest, but one of the strongest for sure. And Stark is Espada number 1. He's so powerful that he's literally hanging out with the Espadas because he's soul crushing everybody else around him. He's I'm literally I'm depressed because I'm lonely, because everyone kills me, or I kill everyone just by walking near them. Just with my presence, I kill people. So, they're so powerful, and they're this amazing, I didn't really get that. I don't know, maybe that's a testament to how power locked they truly were. One of the strongest versus one of the strongest. Neither of them really got a chance to shine. But I think the best fight, in my opinion, the out of the top three Espada fights, not including Espada number plot armor Yami Largo in his fight against Byakuya and Kenpachi, solely just the ones that happen in Fate Karakura, I would say the order of the best fights, in my opinion, is Soifon versus Baragon, because that was really crazy. I very thoroughly enjoyed that. Then it would be Toshiro versus Haribel, and then finally Stark versus Shunsui, which sucks because I really like both of those characters. But in any case, I digress. Back to our friend Toshiro. Yeah, he uses the Hyoten Hyakatsu, and basically it's this giant storm of snow petals, and as they trickle down, if one of the snow petals touches you, a flower of ice will blossom, and if 100 of them touch you or something like that. I don't remember the specifics of the attack, but we'll probably discuss it later. But basically, this is kind of an insta-kill move he's got. Haribel ends up surviving. As a matter of fact, she's the only one of the Espadas present there that actually does survive. Of course, Baragon is killed, and Stark is killed, and I don't think there were any other Espadas present in Fate Karakura at the time, because if I remember correctly, the three only surviving Espada is Neliel, Haribel, and Grimjow. I think that's correct. Any other... I would talk about the other Espada, but that's kind of spoilers for the Thousand Year Blood War, so I won't mention it. So yeah, after his encounter with Haribel, Aizen actually, plot twist, Aizen's the one that defeats, quote-unquote, Haribel, and then, everybody gangs up on Aizen, and they're really doing a number to him, but it turns out that they've been attacking poor Momo. They've been laying into Momo because Aizen had them under hypnosis. That's great. Rest in peace, Momo. She's not actually dead. Don't get it twisted. It's just the picture of Hitsugaya like running his blade through Momo. God, I feel like some kind of sadistic serial killer from finding this funny. But just like her face is like completely dead, and he's like, I think I severely messed up. Um, which is like, you're fighting an opponent that you guys like. I'm pretty sure at this point they already knew he had hypnosis. So I was like, come on, you had to have seen it coming. Like seriously. So yeah, they're like, oh no, we stabbed the wrong person. And it's like, yeah. Yeah, too bad in your kit of ice moves there isn't like an anti-hypnosis thing, because that would have been useful. Um, but in any case, of course, Hitsugaya, he really struts his stuff later on in like the, what's it called? The Fullbringer arc. He shows up, he's got a new hairdo, he's fighting, God, what's his name? He's one of the Fullbringers, he does the video games, Yukio. And Yukio's like, I'm gonna put you in my video game world, I'm gonna put everybody in my video game world, and you guys are gonna have to fight the Fullbringers, part of the execution, and you're gonna be in my video game world. And yeah, Toshiro's like, it's been a long time since I've played Pokemon, but I'm pretty sure Ice beats video game. And yeah, he just like freezes everything and just kind of walks through and like freezes everything. And he sees Yukio, and Yukio's like, "Well, I will still win because this is my pocket dimension of video game." And then like Toshiro like no diffs him, and he's like, "I'll kill you if you don't let everybody out." So he captures Yukio. I think Yukio is one of the only remaining or living members of Execution by the end of the Fullbringer arc, because Tsukishima gets his heart blown out by Byakuya's little palming his Senbon Sakura technique, and Ginjo just messed up. Ginjo fighting Ichigo after he got his powers back was like Hitsugaya trying to fight Aizen but stabs his childhood friend level mess up. It was a Zamori trying to get Rukia to kill herself and then fighting Byakuya level mess up. You just had to know that the anime plot armor Death Murder Time was gonna activate. So yeah, Hitsugaya very casually captures Yukio and like forces him to let everybody go. And that's pretty much the extent of his time on screen, except for the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. And of course, we're going to be covering his time in the 1,000-Year Blood War separate to this video, as not to have a whole section of the video be spoiler warnings. Guys, go ahead and skip 15 minutes into the video. It's really not that hard to like make another video about it. It's fine. But yeah, he does do awesome in the 1,000-Year Blood War, but that's his whole role in the story. Now more so trying to address his powers. He's got a pretty decent kit. I mean, his stats are also pretty good. He doesn't have a single stat under 70. That's not too rare for captains, but still, it's admirable. It's definitely impressive within the series as a whole. Yeah, he's got like an 80 in offense, so it's pretty decent. An 80 in defense, again, decent. He's got a 90 in mobility, so a little bit on the higher end. And of course, his Ryatsu, it kind of goes with his whole freezing thing with his Zanpakuto and everything. It goes with the theme. His Ryatsu is actually 90. He's a super impressive guy, and I believe his intelligence is also 80, so he's no slouch in the mental department as well. So yeah, of course he's a child prodigy. He's a great tactician. There have been many times where he's been at a disadvantage of some kind, be it strength or speed, or particularly in type, like of attack, so to speak. Going back to what I mentioned earlier, that fire versus ice thing, where he has been able to be very very creative, I guess would be the right term. Really flexing his 9th level intelligence, his big brain plays. He's good at Kido, he's a good swordsman. Of course, with a 90 in proficiency, he better be good at Shunpo. He's also good at Hakuda, which is their hand-to-hand combat thing. I don't think we really get to see that too often. His main thing, of course, is his spiritual pressure and ice and cold and freeze and yeet. He's actually got some pretty good endurance. I'm kind of surprised he has an 80 in defense. But I feel like that's more so about like his not his ability to take hits, but his ability to block hits. Because anybody can get hit and keep going, but like, is your defense really that good at that point that you're gonna have to take hits? And I would say no. So his Shikai is Hyorinmaru, and is basically, the strongest of all ice elements on Zanpakutos, even though I don't know if that statement is still technically valid after Rukia reaches Bankai, because her Bankai is just insane. She probably won't be a character I talk about for a while, because I'm not actually super familiar with like all of her stuff. But of course, she will be a character I discuss. How can you not talk about like uh, okay, I gotta admit, I'm not like number one waifu Orihime, or not number one waifu Orihime. I'm not a number one waifu Rukia fan. I'm actually with Orihime. So sue me, it's fine. Like I always say, I thrive off of your negative comments. Um, so yeah, he's got the strongest ice element Zanpakuto. He can like freeze like the water in the atmosphere, like the moisture. And he's got, of course, Daikiri Hyorin Maru, where he grows those wings and he has those petals. He's like, rain from the frosted heavens. Daikiri Hyorin Maru. Um, it's pretty cool. He controls water and ice. He can control, the weather to some respect. Um, he has the ability to, create like a vacuum of ice. He has the ability to, God, he's got a lot of abilities. A lot of. It's basically all ice manipulation. Like he can make a wall of ice. He can make a clone of ice. He can make a trap from ice that'll freeze you. With Daigyuren Hyorin Maru, he's got the two wings. He can fly around. He's got like his whole kind of theme with his Bankai is like an ice. It goes from like just ice to like an ice dragon, more specifically. And instead of just like launching ice dragons at people, he kind of a little bit becomes one himself. He grows the wings and the tail. Um, and, it's pretty cool. Um, God, I keep thinking of that stupid joke. Anyway, yeah, like he has the ability to kind of regenerate, not his normal body, but like he can regenerate the wings on his back and like the tail and stuff. Um, he's able to like, of course, like I mentioned earlier, make his little puppet, and he can use the ice wings on his back as a shield. Again, 80 in defense is a little bit weird, but that's okay. Um, he can, just like flash freeze an enemy with, one of his techniques. He's got like a lot of abilities. He can freeze somebody in like an ice prison. There was the one I mentioned earlier, the Hyoten Hyakaso. And that's the one where all the petals fall. Yeah, the Hitsugaya claims that when the last of the 100 petals fall, the life of the one who touched it will be over. So it's basically like Exodia. Uh, yeah, so like he can also freeze water, which was again really useful against a water using character. I feel like the encounter that I'm not mentioning in the Thousand Year Blood War is kind of payback for the disrespect he laid on Hollybell. Um, but of course, he has different techniques where he can like extend the reach of his blade with ice. And then of course there is his final form that I will not be talking about because he unlocks it in the Thousand Year Blood War arc. Um, so the only weakness of his Bankai is, ladies and gentlemen, drumroll please, it's extreme heat. I never would have guessed it. So that's pretty much it for Toshiro. Those are his abilities. It's really just like if you want to like get like a simple summary of his abilities. He's an icy boy. That's it. That's his deal. He's Iceman. Um, cool character, very powerful, um, and I don't know. He's always been a bit of a favorite of mine. I'm not gonna lie. I always like to see him on screen. He's powerful. He's not really like. I guess quirky is fair because like I made my last video about Byakuya. He's also like a really awesome character that I like seeing on the screen a lot. but like, you know, it's more so because he's powerful and because he's his character develops, like his character development was phenomenal. But like Toshiro, his character doesn't change too much. It's more so about like he's just a decent kind of guy from the very beginning. He's a decent guy. He never really goes through that arc where he's like he's edgy in a goofy way. He's not like edgy like Sasuke. You know, he's just kind of I don't know. He's just kind of like he's got his responsibilities. He recognizes that, but you know, other than the pressure of being a captain and a prodigy and all that stuff, and you know, the personal attachments he has and the personal stakes he has in all of the fights that he goes into, he's pretty much a normal guy. He's very chill. You know, he's always people are always making jokes about his height. You know, eventually he actually makes jokes about his height as well. Um, that especially rears its head in the Thousand Year Blood War. There's some pretty funny jokes about his height. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it for Toshiro Hitsugaya. He's an ice boy. He's a bro. I might even go as far as to say he's a Chad. Um, that's pretty much it I wanted to say about Toshiro Hitsugaya. So, if you guys like the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell. Thanks, YouTube. So, I'm guessing I'm going to make my next video about Sajin, and then after him I'd likely do Shunsui. So if you have anybody you want me to cover after Sajin and Shunsui, make sure to leave the comment in the comment section below. I'd love to read them all. You know, I plan to do this simple overview series for quite a few characters. This channel is literally just going to be me sitting here talking about things that I want to talk about, that people want me to talk about, stuff like that. And if I don't know a character, now I can literally do like a quick Google search, I can read about them for 20 to 30 minutes, and I can talk about them as much as possible. And if you like watch that video and you're like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about, he's completely dead wrong about everything, tell me. Please tell me how wrong I am. I love those comments. They're great for the algorithm, and they are just not that great for my self-esteem. But that's okay. Constructive criticism can be good. So thank you guys for watching. Remember, I'll be covering series like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Baki the Grappler, Records of Ragnarok, great series, Gleipnir, I just started recently. You know, and of course the old ones, Dragon Ball, Naruto. Can plan to continue covering Bleach, One Piece. You know, basically, I'm gonna be on a pretty heavy anime trip. A lot of my content's gonna be anime. I'll also do gameplay in the future, but that's quite a bit down the line. For now, I'm just content with talking to a blank screen in my empty room to myself. Wow. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.